report for April 2016 to order. The first item on the agenda who's been warned is we are going to get an update on the principal search. So we need an executive session for personnel and a student matter as well. So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Okay, unanimous. Okay, first item on the agenda is going to be citizens, and I had a request that someone was going to give a visual.
Thank you. So I'm Laura Boudreau, I'm the Director of Curriculum Instruction and Assessment, and I just wanted to follow up after last Tuesday's BSD meeting when Assistant Superintendent Donna Lee, Pat Conway, our math coach, and Melissa Senecal, and I shared curriculum instruction and assessment supports provided to our district in the BSD. And I just wanted to give you a further update and a few more examples of the good work that's happening with the in our district in the BSD. Some of my fondest memories of teaching in the BSD were when we were brought together to do curriculum work, and that was one thing we talked about last week. So what you're getting is I'm giving you a little cheat sheet for curriculum. The handout that you received just references where we're required per the Vermont State Board of Education and the Educational Quality Standards to create a local curriculum. And I cited the rule there for you, and it's just that we're responsible for providing a written and delivered curriculum that's aligned with the standards approved by the State Board of Education. So last week I made you a chart, and on the chart last week we talked about English language arts and math, and the state adopted the Common Core State Standards, and we have a locally aligned curriculum because of those committees. And on that sheet, I just marked for you if there were BSD teachers represented on those committees. And I can tell you that on the English Language Arts Committee, there were 8 BSD teachers that did some wonderful work in creating that curriculum document. And on the math, there were 6 BSD teachers involved in that work. I'm really excited to share that phys ed and music and art also have new standards adopted by the State of Education. They're a Vermont Board of Education, and they also have worked to create a locally aligned curriculum, and you had 3 reps for phys ed, 3 reps for music, and 3 reps for art that sat on those committees to create these documents. Science and social studies are in the works, and on the bottom of the chart I put in the media specialists. They're a really wonderful group. We formerly called them librarians. We now call them media specialists because they're incredibly tech savvy. They worked with our tech integrationists, which is here tonight, and we created a curriculum document that aligns with the LA standards. So on the back, I've given you directions how to find these documents on the SBSU website. So I'm just going to take you there now. So I'm over here. So directions are on the back. So when you go to the SBSU website, if you go to departments, and then you go to curriculum, down at the bottom of this page are all these wonderful curriculum documents. Some are in the process of being created because standards have just recently been adopted by the Agency of Education. But if I click on ELA, English Language Arts, here is, and if I come down to the bottom, all of these documents, teachers from our district and from the BSD helped to create. They're incredibly proud group of teachers, tons of work. It took a year and a half to create this particular document. And the other one I'm just going to show you quickly is just to give you another example, I'm going to go to music. And you had 3 BSD reps that sat on this committee, and they interpreted their new national standards. And so this is the music curriculum they're referring to, and if I just click on one, you'll just give a nice snapshot that this is what you see when you go in, and the black is the national standard, and the red is the local interpretation. That means teachers were sitting together, collaborating, interpreting the standards. So I just wanted to take a moment and let you know that these documents are there, and that there are many wonderful teachers that we are bringing to the table to help create these documents to work with our students. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'd be more than happy to come back at any time if you have anything further you'd
I
like
think
a presentation on.
the request is going to be to put on next month's agenda a full-blown curriculum presentation.
Great.
Frank's going to go tonight with technology, and then we'll do.
Great, thank you.
We're not voting on
And
technology.
Jackie's noting that in the, Genevieve is noting that in the task list, right?
Yes.
Thank you.
Did we do the task list for this month?
Yes.
We have to do any more citizens.
Okay.
Can we just, citizen comments?
Yes, go ahead, sir.
Hi, Gabriel White. I had a question regarding the Act 46 Consolidation Committee and the recent SVSU board meeting. I just kind of wanted to sort of make a statement to the board and ask one question. There are many in the community like me who are a little upset and maybe a little disturbed about the path you guys are looking at taking by seceding from the SVSU. As a person who actually has 2 children in this school, it's my belief and many others in the community that what you guys need to ask yourselves when you're on that committee is not necessarily what's in the best interest of this board or the district when making the decision to secede. And it's my firm belief that if you guys move forward with your path to secede from the SVSU, that it's not in the best interest of the students, and it's not in the spirit of the act, of the law of Act 46. My understanding of Act 46 is that it seeks to create more equitable educational opportunities for all children. And you know, I respect your beliefs, but many of your beliefs that, I'm assuming that if some of you feel we should secede from the SVSU, that you have feelings, or that you have some sort of logic or explanation as to how that secession from the SVSU is in the best interests of all of the kids collectively within the SVSU.
Can I answer
And
that?
that's the question I want to ask you guys. And I just wanted to raise the voice of many in this community who feel it is a grave mistake to go down the path to secede from SVSU. Because I feel, many others feel, that if we do that, we're going to have a less equitable educational opportunities for the kids that are in the elementary schools that are in the BSD. And that's my question to you guys. I kind of would like to get you on public record. Where do you stand? Do you want to move forward with this path of seceding from SVSU? And what is your logic? Give me your logic of how are kids that are currently collectively members of the SVSU, how are those kids going
Can I answer
in a
that?
more equitable situation if we go down that road and, you know, we're left with just the schools within the BSD? If North Bennington pulls away, if Shasberry pulls away, how will Woodford pull away? So that's my question.
Let me
Jackie's
answer.
the chair of the Act 46 committee.
We started out our Act 46 meetings talking about education and educational opportunities for all the kids. We talked about what the SU does, you know, as a whole, what we all combined together get from the supervisory union. We have been put at several board Act 46 meetings. We've had different boards, you know, say that we should become the K through 12. North Bennington wants to leave. And so we talked to our lawyer at the last meeting, and we are not going to withdraw from the SVSU. We are not going to succeed at this time. We are going to go forward with our the consolidation study as soon as we can get a consultant. And but our reasoning for wanting to pull out, why we said we wanted to pull out was because we can't get a consultant, so the only way you can get money to pay for all this stuff is to go forward and make your own group. And when you got,
But didn't a committee form?
we did form, but we have Shasberry that's looking at other opportunities, North Bennington wants out, Pownell isn't gonna like how the whole thing comes together, because in the end,
But do we have to, I'm sorry to interrupt, but my question is, do we have to let them out?
do we have to
I would
let,
go so far as to, are there any avenues we can pursue? I know
well, North Bennington,
it's probably a fait accompli, right? Because they got out ahead of it.
we don't have to let anybody out because it has to be a vote of all the towns out of the
Right, so what I
SU.
would urge you to do is don't let anybody out, and let's unify for the best interests of all of the kids within the
But they're not gonna like that.
SVSU, try to work something out.
The problem here, let me finish explaining. The problem here is whether we consolidate and all become one board or not, in 2018, the state's gonna come down. They're gonna tell who goes where. All the boards are gonna go away. There's gonna be one board. And this is what the outlying districts are afraid of. Then Bennington will have the amount of representation they're supposed to have.
And I
They,
guess that's my point. I think we should be less concerned with the representative structure of a board, when the state comes down and what
But-
that's gonna end up looking like as opposed
It's
to
the law.
more equitable
It's the
educational
law.
opportunities for all kids within the SVSU. I think that should be the focus,
it's the law.
as
And
opposed to,
I agree with you, but when other people are looking at it, they're only looking at, we're only gonna have this, so we don't want anything to do with it. We're only gonna have this because they know what the law states. That's what the law states. We can't change the law. We didn't make the law. We don't want the law. We didn't wanna have to do any of this to start with.
so
We've
am I
been doing
reading
this for
right when you say there's difficulties with some of the other towns?
yes.
They don't wanna cooperate so maybe some other people should be at those board meetings with those other townspeople saying,
And you know what?
Work together.
It's the outlying districts that go to all the meetings. We don't see Bennington. We hardly ever see anybody from Bennington at any of these Act 46 meetings.
Tomorrow night,
I'll be there.
6 to, now what,
And I'm not trying to be confrontational.
No.
I'm not
honestly-
either. I'm just
I
trying to
honestly-
explain.
I honestly feel that if we were left, if Pownell, if Woodford, if Shasberry, if North Bennington all pull out, we're not gonna have a good situation for the kids that are in the system right now.
can I ask why? That's my question.
Yeah, that's what I'm curious about. Why do you feel?
I believe we would end up with a socioeconomically segregated school system
Well,
based
We
on
won't have any other,
class structure.
the way it is now, nobody else comes in, nobody else goes out anyway, so.
Well, the way it is now, the two of the three elementary level schools in the BSD
all three.
have the biggest challenges, right? And what was the quote from the lady in the banner the other night? I don't know if she's here. Rising tides.
Oh, that was Shaw Marie.
Show
We
Marie
have to
Oler.
look at everyone, and I feel that we should do whatever we can do to prevent North. I know it's already done, and I'm disappointed that they got away. But I really think that we should have done more to keep North Bennington in the SVSU. I know that there may not be many options with the situation as it stands now, but I think all of the kids in the 5 towns collectively are better off when it comes to equitable educational opportunities when we stick together. I mean, it's just, why couldn't we just stick together as 5 towns, get the tax breaks and be done with it? And that's kind of, and I'm not trying to preach to the choir or anything, I just wanted my voice to be heard and the voice of other people.
And that's the way the BSC board started on this committee. We said the same things you're saying right now. We echoed everything you're saying. We believe that we could all be one board. We don't have a problem with dissolving the BSD or the Mount Anthony board and becoming one board.
So is it basically some of the other towns are having problems?
They're having problems because
Are we afraid of making it public who the people
it's the
are?
law states that it has to be done per population in the community. And that's what they're afraid of, because Bennington has the largest population, so they will have the largest representation on the board.
So the smaller towns don't want to cut a deal with you to form this committee because they won't have, based on population,
And
they
they
don't have
lose their
enough
own-
representation.
And they lose their own board.
Let that go at some point and focus on
But
what's in the best interest.
you have to realize that the school in Pownell, the school in North Bennington, the school in Shasberry is a critical,
Woodford.
and Woodford, is a critical part of their communities. They are their community centers for some of them, especially in Woodford. You know, their beings run around the school system.
And I understand, but the state's gonna come down and do it anyway.
Well, I know
Right,
that,
that's gonna happen in the end.
My position, I'm a member of Act 46, and my position from the very beginning has been to do whatever we can do to preserve what we have right now. And the superintendent has read to each board, to each Act 46, exactly what the options are. And so that was my position, is to move in that direction and to present to the State Board of Education what we're doing in order to preserve it. But it has not been easy sledding so far, and tomorrow night will be interesting, because I can say to you that North Bennington wants out in order to preserve their independent school. But no decisions have been made, and I take what you're saying very serious, and that's the direction that we're going
they
in
want
right
the
now.
option to study, which we all should have. They want the option to study something else, to study,
North Bennington?
yeah, North
So they want
Bennington.
choice to be
Yeah.
able to match with
Yeah.
other districts, right?
They want to,
K-12.
yeah.
K-12.
And that means if they choose, they can pull and they take that money with them to that other district, right?
Yes.
All right. I don't want to belabor this.
Yeah.
I think I made my point. And
See you
when is the
tomorrow
meeting-
night.
When is the meeting tomorrow?
6:30.
Tomorrow night,
6:30.
6:30.
Library at the village school.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Here comes Stu.
I'm Stuart Hurd, and I congratulate you on your most recent decisions to stay with the SVSU, but that's not why I'm here tonight. I'm here tonight, and Ken probably knows, I'm asking you, because it's not on the agenda tonight, to literally postpone the energy retrofit projects till next, not this summer, but the summer after. It will allow you to make sure that you correct any deficiencies that may exist in the way the project has come to fruition. It will give you more time to organize yourselves. It will allow, I think, a much slower, more reasoned approach to the project. So that's why I'm here tonight. Just ask you to go slow. If there are deficiencies that need to be corrected, correct them. It gives you plenty of time to do so. You have the bond vote. Mr. Riley is already shaking his head no. It's nice that he's considering my conversation here tonight, but that's all right. And so I've said my piece. Please go slow.
Can I just say one thing? Stu, we have been doing this for 18 months.
Why now? Why do you feel it's your place as a town manager to get so involved in school board issues? Don't you have enough to do running the town of Bennington that you have spent so much time between writing letters and putting stuff in the newspaper, spending time at our meetings? Don't you have enough stuff to do in the town of Bennington?
I do, Gene, thank you very much. But I'm also a taxpayer in the BSD.
And I imagine you
And I
voted
am
on the
concerned.
bond.
And I am concerned. In fact, I
Or-
supported the bond, and I supported it publicly. You have succeeded in passing the bond vote. You have what you need. Now I'm just suggesting to you that you take it easy, that you take it slow. There are some concerns that were voiced at the last meeting about the process that went from the development of the specs to the bid, whether or not that met the requirements of the law. These things are in flux. We don't know yet. You were going to have it on the agenda tonight. You don't. So I'm assuming that you're taking your time now, you're stepping back a little, and that's all I'm asking you to do.
We got a legal opinion from our lawyer. He said that if you don't get it done, you don't have that bond vote anymore. You have to go back out next March to have a vote again.
Well, you can simply create the bond. You can borrow the money. I don't think you So I'm not an attorney, so I'm not gonna debate.
That's what he
Is your attorney Mr. Lynn, PA?
Yes.
I've known him.
And is he
I've
gonna
worked
lock our
with him.
prices
Stu, let me say this. At the last meeting, which you were at, the superintendent's office, our position is that whatever we do has to be legally correct. And unless we get the proper legal opinions, that is exactly where we're coming from. And that's where I'm coming from. We get it, it's got to be legally correct in order to move forward. And if we don't get that, we don't move forward.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And that's the way we all feel. And we hope to have an answer one way or another by the middle of next week.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, President of Bennington, taxpayer. And I again, am coming to the board with some concerns. I haven't been present as of late, and upon reading some meeting minutes, there's a couple of items that caught my eye that I wish to address. There's a couple of things that I'm looking at in the meeting minutes, and one of them is the issue that Mr. Hurt spoke about, but it's for other reasons. Right now, you have staff waiting on bated breath, wondering if they have a job this summer to provide services to students. And I'm talking about the children that are having extended school year services, those that may be providing summer programs.
Weren't we supposed to get an answer on
We can't
that?
have transitional meetings because no one knows if anyone's going to be employed or not, or if we are going to have any programs or not for these children. I believe there's several hundred children in GSD that participate in summer school programs. The other issue that I noted is that some comments were made about having the community absorb these students and we'll just pay for them. And I'd like to bring to the board's attention the fact that as a mom, I'm very familiar with how fast these programs fill up, and if you don't have your kid in and booked by March, good luck trying to find that week that you want. The other issue is that most programs run about 200 a week. That is quite different from the summer programs that the education staff provide. That's fine. The other issue that I saw in that particular agenda item was the fact that you mentioned one day for staff to pack their rooms. And then there was some mention about volunteers to help. And that's, I think, I'm not sensing that the staff's aware of this emergent kind of packing. And I don't know if you've gone into any teachers' rooms recently, but there's an enormous amount of things. And I don't think that's realistic. And I do applaud the fact that we're taking advantage of an energy project. However, there are these ramifications to consider. And quite frankly, the board hasn't even informed the parents. And so now we're going to be left and I get, we're locked in, pretty much. So,
No, we're not.
well, how are we going to make all these decisions? It's not on the agenda. How are we going to make all these decisions on, are we going to do services? Did facilities meet and talk about it? Because that was on the agenda.
No.
All these questions. So that's one. I would like to, hopefully have some answers really, really quickly on that. It's just not fair to the community or the staff. Some other issues that I noticed was the fact that at the SVSU board meeting, I watched the board approve an audit without any comments whatsoever. No one addressed any of the issues or findings that are in that audit.
That's an SVSU issue.
It is, but it's also a BSD issue, because those findings come down to every district and affect every district. And I am encouraging this board to go out and read the final report, or in the report that was presented, because there are some really disturbing things that I noted. When you have funds, employees being paid from funds from student accounts, that's ridiculous. When you have interfunding, when you see evidence that funds are moved, that's crazy. How do we come into a 1.5 million sped windfall? How do we find over $1 million or close to $1 million for the 2016-17 assessments? How do we do that and not know about it? How do we find at the end of the year that we were like $166,000 in debt? I'm just not getting this, and I'm asking the board to do some sort of forensic audit because I'm a little concerned that the funding is not where it should be. And I'm saying that because I, as a resident taxpayer, am just looking at it, and I'm not a professional. I don't have a degree in accounting, I don't do taxes, I don't work in, do any of this, but what I'm seeing, I think deserves your attention. And I'm really concerned that if, you know, we're looking at consolidation and we're looking at silos and we're looking at monies and we're trying to represent the BSD, we need to be looking at how those funds are being distributed and how they're being monitored and what internal controls we have over it, because I'm not seeing a whole lot. And that's what I think is another problem with what happened with the energy project. All of a sudden, I don't think the deadlines and the timeline was really presented well, so that it gave the board a good sense of how fast, you know, you had to move. The other issue is that, you know, another audit finding was that we had money over the $250,000 maximum in accounts. Those are unsecured by any kind of fiduciary insurance. So it's really important that you look at these. Please do. And I encourage the board to not approve any documents that come before you the day before or the day of the meeting unless you're sure you've read them. Because I barely had time to read that 81-page report. It was put, from what I could determine, it was put up the day before on the website. And I really want to be educated. I don't want to speak on something I haven't read. And finding it challenging. Even tonight, I went to review some board meeting minutes, and documents are missing. They're not there. So it's really difficult when no one puts the documents up, no one warns the documents, and then they're approved and nobody's even read them. And I'm not saying that you do. I'm just saying that we really need to make sure we are. The other thing is, putting school board members, this whole change in policy, I don't think is necessary. I think if there's an issue with the board member, that is the board chair's responsibility and the superintendent's. I don't think it's up to the SVSU or the districts to sit here and you know, put a policy in effect or change a policy to curb that behavior. It's never been required in the past. It's not something that I've seen across. I've looked at a couple of different things and I haven't seen that elsewhere. And I see that you're required to sign this code of ethics. I don't know where that came from. And it's like, I don't know about you, but I mean, you sign a whole bunch of things when you become board members, and it says all that. And if there's, you know, activities of a board member, you just discreetly pull them aside and you have that conversation. You know, I think this is going way over the top. And the other thing that concerns me, as a parent, I get to walk into my son's school building, and I get to stand in between the double doors. I wait there. I don't get into the building to get my son, okay? And so I can't get in, and now board members can't get in, so who's allowed in? I'm kind of like a little leery about this, putting this policy into effect, so now board members can't even, I mean, if I had a board member in my building, I'd be, hey, come look at this great thing we're doing. I'm not sensing that, I'm sensing something totally different, and I'm kind of disturbed by it. So those are a few things. There's way too many that I found. I'll try and address them at another time. You know, it's just, we need to really watch our spending too. We're buying things and then not doing anything with them, and nobody's asking where they went or what happened to that software. And we really need to make sure that it's being used. Okay.
Can I make a suggestion? That she email you the concerns she has so that we can look them all over and maybe give her an answer?
For the audit?
For any of it.
Sure, I'd be happy to.
I mean, we need to,
Just one thing, if you remember at the SVSU meeting, we did say that we didn't believe in that policy. What she's talking about is, under a new policy for school board members, you have to get permission of the principal to visit the school, and, you know.
And you know the 3 BSD members are there, we're not happy with it.
I saw George try to say, hey, we just got, you know, on a couple of things, you know, just sort of like, you know, and I believe the same thing. I believe this isn't really a policy that should be in place. This has to do with a board member's behavior, and that's from every document I've read, that's up to the board chair and the superintendent to educate that board member. It's not up to, like, us to form a policy or something. And, you know, you can, as a principal of a building, I would assume that just like dealing with a parent, you'd go up to them and say, hey, can you sign in? Or hey, can you give me a little notice that you want to come look at something, or anything like that. I mean, I think that they have the right to do that. That's their job. They don't know who you are, or you may not know who they are, and as long as it's respectful. But I mean, if kind of is done like that, that's bringing all kinds of bells and whistles. in my book. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other citizens' comments? Okay, seeing none, this one I'm not sure of. Jim, you brought this one up. It's the Code of Ethics.
I believe it's, you have to sign this.
You don't have to do anything.
This is, comes from the Vermont School Board Association. It's on the agenda every year after elections. I believe you all received it already, right?
It's
I had one
voluntary.
question about it.
Yep, it's voluntary.
It's voluntary.
Just the part that said, requests that periodic surveys be conducted with the community. I was curious about what that would look like if we do that, or what's expected in that sense.
In the Code of Ethics you're
In the
talking
Code
about?
of Ethics, yeah.
One, let's see, take mine.
You know, I didn't know what that meant.
I just passed my copy on that.
Under
Here you go.
community relations,
that's other.
it says, request that periodic surveys be conducted with the community to assess the quality of education services.
So you're asking, can we do that?
No, I'm wondering if that's ever been done, or what that would look like, or if other communities do that.
We can certainly explore that. I'm not aware of, in my time here, that there's been a survey of the community for school climate. Is that?
I've never heard of it before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just stuck out to me as something that I hadn't heard of, and I wanted to check with everybody else to see.
Yeah.
If I was
believe
just
this
the one that was
document comes
missing
from the School Board Association. It's not, but I think anytime we gather data on performance and opinion from community would be a good thing, so.
Yeah.
And it might be something the Vermont School Board Association, since this is their document, could help us with. Maybe they have survey tools that they've used in other communities that we could do.
Okay. I could put it on the
Yeah.
list.
So we can look into that.
Okay, great.
I personally, I don't think we've had the Code of Ethics on this board for a long time. I don't remember the last time.
2 years
I noticed on
ago.
the CDC at our last meeting that was passed around. So,
That's on the agenda of every board this
Okay.
month.
okay, when you get done, just pass it back. Okay, now, third, we have a presentation by Mr. Barnes for technology.
Yeah, hi, Laura's handing out a list. My report is in the form of a list. I thought it would be easy to understand that way. And I didn't have any specific directive from the board as to what you wanted to know, so I think I covered a whole lot of stuff here, and I'm gonna read through and comment on a few things as I go forward. And feel free to ask questions whenever they pop up. Okay, first of all, I heard rumblings that there was concern or questions about the SVSU Tech Committee, or the Tech Committee, and you folks have a person who you vote for every year to be on a Tech Committee, but no other board votes anybody onto a Tech Committee. And this explains that a little bit. Originally, the Tech Committee was an ad hoc committee for creating the tech plan that we currently have now. So that was a very large committee. It involved community members, teachers, tech staff, board members, parents. And we met for probably a year, better part of a year anyway, and out of those meetings, we wrote the current tech plan, which was approved by the state. We tried to continue that committee, we tried to go on with that, but people just weren't showing up. Schedules, first of all, there were way too many people that started, and it just naturally dwindled away, and people had other things on their plate or whatever, and it kind of just fell away. And since the tech plan was written, there was no real need for that kind of a committee. However, what was supposed to have happened was each building was supposed to have had a tech committee for their building. And then we would gather on monthly and see what the issues were in each building so we could decide, how we could address that collectively if it's an SVS, how the SVSU can help out the buildings to address those things. Again, it ended up just falling away. Since then, I've created a tech advisory team, which should be made up of and is currently made up of members from each building's tech committee. However, only the buildings who have tech committees are sending anybody at this point. So I'm going to encourage all the principals in all the buildings, the whole SU, I'm not talking just BSD, to send someone to that tech advisory team meeting. So to carry on the work of finding out what's going on and best practices in those buildings. And it's really more about, it's a little bit about everything. I mean, it's how the tech is functioning, but it's also how the tech is being used for education. I mean, that's always, primary on my list. So if you think that the BSU should have a tech committee that you would send a representative to, then I think that's something you need to bring up at the SVSU board. And if you wanted me to attend those meetings, or if you wanted me involved in any way, I'd be more than happy to do that. But at this point, there is no such committee with board members on it. Yeah, Jack?
When you wrote your plan, didn't you have a yearly assessment? For instance, okay, we wrote this plan, so year 1 we do this, year 2 we do this, year 3 we do this.
There's a timetable, there's
I
no
guess.
assessment.
No assessment.
There was a timetable. The reason for the plan, and since then, the reason that the plan was written was because it was mandatory in order to be eligible for E-rate funds. It's no longer mandatory to be eligible for E-rate funds. Where we are right now is the state is putting together a technology plan that's going to be built into school building plans or other, educational plans, and that hasn't been finalized yet. So everybody's kind of in this hovering, waiting mode to see what that's going to end up looking like, so that we'll know we will be asked to have some sort of tech plan, but it's going to be closely tied with curriculum, which is great because in here, curriculum and I work really closely together. Curriculum and tech and data works really closely together, and I think we could actually probably be a model for how the states put this together, but that's me being, proud of Laura, so.
But forgive me, but I would think that any plan that you would make would include a yearly assessment so that you can see if you're getting your best bang for your buck.
The assessment, any assessments that would have happened, Jackie, would have been me looking at the plan and the timeline and saying, are we there? Are we ahead? Are we behind? What are we doing and what do we have to get it going? I don't think we need a committee for that.
Not necessarily a committee, but some type of assessment other than you, should, maybe above you, should be compiled so that people can see you're making progress, just like with any part of curriculum. And even though tech is closely aligned with curriculum and kind of married to it, we have to know whether or not the tech that you're using in the school is helping the students perform better.
Mm-hmm. So who would be responsible for assessing that then?
Well, you would gather a group of people to do that.
I
Look
would.
at you're the director. So,
But I'm not, but you just said someone other than me should be
other than you,
overseeing this.
in other words, a group, some group, a member from this team, a member from each of your schools, and just sit down, look at your timeline, and say, okay, are our scores going ahead because of tech? And then good examples of how the tech has been implemented, and then share that assessment with all the schools.
I'm completely open to that. It sounds like something that the tech advisory team could do.
Well, I would include the board members, too.
Then we have a committee of 18.
What's one more? I mean, I've been on the so-called tech committee for 2 years and never met with you guys.
Because it hasn't been operating, because of the fact that it was an ad hoc committee and.
Right, but just because it's not operating, it maybe should be operating.
Okay.
And let me put it to you this way. I've heard complaints.
Uh-huh.
You know, and that was not for Jackie Kelly, the school board member. That was for Jackie Kelly, the person who's helping in the school. Okay? And so I know some things are not working, and so maybe we need to look at it, assess what we're doing, and see if it's doing well.
I'm just trying to think of how to respond.
We should have
You don't have to
assessments
say,
for
yes, it's fine. We could have a committee to assess how I'm doing my job, but I don't know that I should be leading that committee.
No, it should be aligned with your plan. A plan
There
is-
should be some kind of assessment for any program that we have in our system.
Have you read the tech plan?
No, I haven't
Okay.
had a copy
It's
of
The
it.
one you
online.
gave us the one you gave us 3 years ago?
Yep.
Okay, yeah, I
It's
read it.
online. It has, year one,
I'll
year
make
two,
sure.
year three. You could check off, is it done? Yes or no? Is it done? Yes or no? And beyond that, that's all that was required, was that we have a plan. And yes, we should know what's going on, and we should make sure that we're going there.
There just should be some assessment.
Okay.
The technology changes every day. I mean, I have a cell phone from last year that changed this year. And every day there's a new update. So I would assume that in a school, not so much in a grade school, but in higher elementary levels, and certainly in the middle school and high school, things have changed drastically in 3 years.
Frank?
Yes.
Question behind.
With this committee and everything, Frank is, and his team created these documents for the state that said we were going to do this, and this. All the time, Frank says.
Sir, I think you should tell the board. They might not know who you are.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm Marcia Noyes. I'm the Senior Systems Administrator. I work under Frank. Our team answers to the director. Is that what you're talking about?
No,
Because
I'm just talking about the plan.
he makes sure.
I'm not talking about the personnel, I'm talking about papers, plans, and how the system fits with the current school system.
Well, let me read my report. And
Okay.
maybe that'll answer some of your questions. Okay, so there's a tech advisory team, and I'm encouraging, all the BSD principals to send a representative to that team. Megan Olson came has been coming from Molly Stark, so that's good that we have somebody there. It's been very difficult for all of the schools to keep these things going, though. I don't know what the problem is, and I'm not talking just BSD, and I should try to keep it to BSD, but for whatever reason, people are having a hard time keeping their tech committees going. And I've been going to the meetings that I've been invited to. Pownell seems to be doing okay. Yeah. So let's move to education, because that's why I do this. We've been working closely with the curriculum department. We collaborate really well. We've been aligning the standards, the ISTE standards, which are the National Technology Standards, with the CCSS, that's the Common Core, and the ASL, that's the Library Association people, so the Library Media Specialists. Been working on that. I think Laura may have mentioned that in her presentation or her citizens' comments. We've been addressing Act 77 and education quality standards and digging deeply into that, because there are a lot of technology components in that as they get aligned with curriculum, local curriculum, as well as certainly the Common Core. We've been researching best practices to embed technology in learning, and gathering and reviewing and using data to improve instruction. Laura, the improved instruction part would be more of a curriculum person to answer that question. One of the things that goes along with that, though, is the best practices. Well, I think it's going to show up here in a little bit anyway. Assessment-wise, MAP testing. We successfully administered 1,098 tests in the fall of MAP testing. These are formative assessment tests that we get data from to move students forward. We did 1,172 in the winter. This is done by the teachers on their Chromebooks or in the computer lab 3 times a year. There'll be one more session in the spring. We just started the SBAC process. SBAC, I'm sure you're all aware, is the national, that's our state standardized test. Bennington Elementary started last Monday for the 4th graders. Molly Stark started yesterday for all grades, and Monument is scheduled to start on the 9th. And we've had absolutely no problems that haven't been fixed in short order as far as with accessing the test, taking the test on Chromebooks. The results are we already have results from the tests that have been taken so far. They're embargoed. We can't share them. Teachers can look at them. Curriculum people can look at them to determine now what can I do to move forward. This is one of the great advantages of being able to do the tests online. We have information immediately that we can respond to. Where was I? Took me down to the Chromebooks, which are working well. Yeah, okay, so that's all there. The teachers have been great in learning how to manage those. For the test, there were a few glitches in managing the Chromebooks themselves, but we've been addressing that, and I think it's working really well. Professional learning opportunities. Again, working closely with curriculum and data team to determine teacher professional learning needs. So this is, the teacher PD. You're used to hearing the term professional development, but I think we're shifting that to professional learning. It's got a little bit of a different connotation. And we've working on creating multiple opportunities to get teachers involved in knowing how to, embed technology in meaningful ways. So it's not just, it's not been for a long time, and it shouldn't be, where technology is taught as a special. It's a special, I have to learn technology. That has no meaning whatsoever. Learning how to use technology in your learning, that's a different sort of a thing. We did tutorials at the beginning of the school year with Chromebooks. We brought teachers into the training, there's a training lab at the central office. We offered follow-up sessions. I don't know if they've been taken advantage of as much as they should. In my opinion, nothing's ever taken advantage of as much as it should when it's free. Well, when it's free and requires some time that's in short supply. And Sally Bisacchio and Dave Hansen have been talking to teachers, and they're our tech integration specialists. They've been working with teachers in the classrooms. Matter of fact, I think Sally and here, and she did a presentation at your last meeting here, I think, on some of the stuff that they did at Monument.
Last couple of meetings.
TouchCast, yeah, a couple meetings ago. I started putting out daily tech tips in the fall. I was sending out tips for 3 months straight every day. It was suggested I back off a little bit, but I got great response from those, and it was really, really a good thing. Just simple little things that people can do to get more out of their own use or how to use things in the classroom. Now I'm putting them out about twice a week, generally 2 or 3 times a week. Plus I publish an online, I curate an online publication where teachers can read about and learn other best practices. Beginning in September, we're working on a plan. We've already started the coffees and conversations where Sally and Dave Hansen and myself will go to a school in the morning. We want to be invited though, so, and tell us what you'd like to know before school. We'll bring the coffee and donuts. We'll sit and talk with any group of teachers that want to know how to get more out of the devices that they have in their hands, okay? We also work with SPED and early ed as far as advising on assistive and adaptive technology for those folks. In the fall, again, we're going to be offering iPad workshops after school. iPads are an ideal tool at kindergarten, first grade, those lower level kids. Some teachers are using them really well. We need a few more. I'm hoping that we can expand on that, and then get Chromebooks 2 through 5 in the BSD. We're also offering a Google Apps workshop to dig into that stuff more robustly. And we're offering an information and media literacy course and all kinds of other courses. There's a lot of stuff that's available for free. There are courses you can get credit for free through VTVLC that we offer. It's not on this list. I'm sorry, I forgot that. There are, and then a number of courses that we have that's been arranged with Castleton or Marlborough College. There's plenty of opportunity to learn, and Dave and Sally are great at helping, at sitting with teachers individually and helping them come along. And some teachers respond really well. I understand that any time you're outside of your comfort zone, and a lot of teachers are still outside their comfort zone with certain things, that it gets uncomfortable. So we're trying to make this be a gentle, ongoing, productive learning process with donuts. Okay. Repair and maintenance wise, we had 851, as of Monday, I had 851 BSD help desk tickets that came in
Explain what those are. Like that. I read everything. I just don't, what is the help desk?
Oh, my computer won't print, I got knocked off the internet, those kinds of things. So we've had 851 in the BSD. I didn't break it out by school. In addition to all the general maintenance that goes on and people stopping texts in the hall, even though that's discouraged, everything's, responded to. There have been any big issues are big issues and take a little bit longer to resolve. A couple of things here. I noted there was a printer issue, and Chromebook management shut down. The printer issue was something that oftentimes it's just a lack of communication between the tech department and the teachers. We don't know from their requests exactly what's causing the problem, so it goes back and forth, and then we find out, oh, okay, it's happening here, here, and here, and so this is a fix for everybody. Okay. Any questions yet before I move down to management? Chrome, I just want to explain this. One issue that came up that caused a lot of problems, a very simple thing, but until people know about it, you don't know about it. You don't know what you don't know. Is that Chromebooks, when you if you close them down, it seems like they turn off, but they don't. They're just going to sleep, which means if you open it back up and it wakes up and you can go back to work, even if you have to log in, and you do, you go back to work. But what it didn't do was have a chance to reboot so that it had updates. So there was a practice, through nobody's fault really, of closing those down, having kids close them down without actually shutting them off. To shut them off, it's about a 7-second process. You actually have to log off and then shut it down and then wait till the screen goes black, like really black, because there's 2 degrees of black here, and then it's off, and then you shut it down, and then when you open it up, if there were any updates that happened, they update automatically, and nobody has to worry about anything. But when we finally discovered that, there were a lot of tickets related to that, but when we finally discovered it, now we know. I continue to encourage people, remind them, make sure you turn them off at least once a week, totally off. So I'm hoping teachers are getting into the practice to have their kids turn those off completely. That'll be a great help. Okay, now for something completely different. Current and forthcoming needs. This is something I don't think that you know about, and I found out today that I think that you didn't know about it. Phone system upgrades. I believe you are aware, because it's in your budget, for next year to have speakers installed in the halls and whatnot, and to be able to have a single, it relates to the public address system. You put it in your budget.
And safety.
Yep. Have a public address system, one call, like now if you, Donna, you have to call 3 times?
We have to call twice.
You have to call twice?
Yeah.
And it's twice or 3 times at Bennell, too, same sort of a thing. So
no PA system in the hallways.
Yeah.
A lot of dead space.
So the plan was to put, to combine the phone system and the PA system and upgrade the phone system so that it could act as a PA system and have the one phone call thing. And also one phone call from central office can broadcast everywhere, that kind of stuff.
Being televised live.
So, in order to have that happen, the speaker part, some work has to be done before then. The phones need to be updated. This gets a little bit tricky. In order to update the phones here, we have to update the phones at central office. Okay? Pownell is, I'm sorry I have to keep bringing Pownell up, but they happen to be involved here. Pownell is getting a whole new phone system. Their phone system has to talk to our phone system, which has to talk to your phone system and the other phone systems. I did an RFP on getting the work done, but we need more time. However, because we got bids back, but they're very confusing. It's apples and oranges. It doesn't make sense at all. But what I would like to do, if you decide that you want to move forward with updating your phones to prepare for this scenario in FY17, I'd have to have approval at the next board meeting to go with a vendor. So between now and your next meeting, if you want me to, I'll follow through on the vendors that we've spoken with. By the way, we only had 2 responses to the bid, to the RFP rather. I can follow up and I can bring a proposal that you could vote on by next meeting. Or you can decide, you know what, we're gonna can this for a year or whatever, and then I don't have to worry about it, you don't have to worry about it, but you're not gonna have your upgrades on the safety.
I'd like to ask a question. Oh, maybe Jackie wants.
You can go first.
Well, my thought is, if this is a safety issue, then there's special funding for safety. And so I would wait to upgrade the phone system until we can combine it with the speaker system for instance, shutting down schools or saying there's a lockdown. That kind of message you'd want all over the building, am I correct?
Yes, correct.
And so, would I also be correct that if it's a safety issue, there's other monies that are involved?
That's
my question.
Let me work backwards again. Excuse me. The money is in place for 2017 for the PA portion of this. In order to make that happen, though, we need to do something this year. There was no money budgeted this year for that. However, there may be monies available. I think there are.
The finance office gave us some accounts today on where they feel
Yes.
their balances. We're talking about what, $19,000?
We're talking about $18,000 roughly. Yeah. I mean,
And with the
that's what we're talking
system, with the system that we get now for the phones, would that correspond with the system for 2017?
Yes, that's,
that's
the
the
point
point.
he's making is, he's got to do the mechanical upgrades to the phone system now. Otherwise, if you put the new speakers in next year, which you had the money, they're not going to work.
Right.
Correct.
It's mechanical and software.
And so,
Yeah, Jack.
I don't have any problem with this, but until I see where the money's coming from,
Yep.
what accounts we're taking it from, I won't vote on it.
that'll be at the meeting next week, next month. Your recommendation on who the vendor is, and finance will provide what accounts that would be coming from.
And can we have that before the meeting?
Would be in the packet. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. All I wanted to know was, do you want me to continue moving forward with this? And
If it's needed to make the PAs work, what choice do we have?
okay, thank you. 2 other requests that also sort of involve, and mostly it's my money, but there's a little bit of your involved here. 2 things that are really critical that need to be done, in my opinion, in my staff's opinion. One is to move the switches that are upstairs at Bennell in a closet that's not a safe place, and not a good location for a lot of other reasons as well, but the environment isn't safe. And we'd like to move those switches down into the main distribution room, which is down where Patty Dewey works at Ben Al. In order to do that, we need to bring fiber into the gym, on the south side of the gym, I believe, right, Marcia? Yeah. We need to bring fiber into the gym and then run wire over to the other side. I just got the cost estimate on that just at the end of the day today. It's around $4,000, but it's mine, okay? I'd like to be able to do it, so I don't want to do it without your permission, but I'm, you know.
I'd like to ask if there's any issues with asbestos or anything like that. Is that building all right?
Isn't that the newer part,
Not in the gym.
the gym?
I believe that we've already got a wire that goes across there. We have a conduit that goes underneath the hallway between the stage and the MDF. And so all of those issues have already been addressed.
Oh, so it'll go through the conduit, it won't, you won't be drilling any holes?
It's nothing new. No, this is exactly the same conduit that we've used for other wires.
It's fine.
And that we've used for the camera system.
As long as you're not drilling something new, unless we get a,
They put it around the little mouse and put cheese at the other end.
Yeah.
I know how they do it.
Exactly what
I know exactly how they do it.
Part B of this is switches in the closet at Monument. Should have been moved years ago. It's not a good location for those. It's too hot in there, and same thing, similar things as with the Ben L location. It's too hot in there. Teachers are in that space often. There used to be a computer lab where there's a special ed room down across from the library. We have a server in that room now at the back wall, towards the back wall. What I'd like to do is to put a wall there, make a very small space. There's already air conditioning in there, which is a really good thing. So a wall with a door, so there's egress out, into the room from inside the building. There's a door coming in from outside the building now. And just move the switches over there. That would be, the moving, the wiring, any of that stuff would be me, but building a wall would be your money. So,
We need a cost.
what's that?
We need a cost, we need to know where it's coming from.
Okay.
I would talk to the facility director and get that.
I gave Jerry a heads up, so, okay, great. Thank you for that. You all know copier contract's up, an RFP is out. You'll be getting information on that. I think that goes to the VSU board, though,
Yes,
right?
yep.
Okay. And I'm going to be doing RFP soon for all the new hardware that we're going to be purchasing for next year that was in the budget. So it's Chromebooks, iPads, projectors, whatever else. We had, if you recall, decided that we could, VSD could afford a $25,000 lease payment. This was the third year of the three-year plan that we had, and actually, the cost of that three-year plan has reduced dramatically thanks to technology being changed constantly and us being able to take advantage of lower prices and different devices. We started this off, the devices we were buying were over $500 a piece. The devices we're buying now are about $200 a piece. So we've been able to save a lot of money on that. So I just want to make you aware I'm going to put out an RFP unless you tell me, no, we're not going to spend any money. We're not going to spend that line, but I don't know why you would do that.
Is it in the line?
That's where the assessment comes in, unless we have an assessment, how do we know we need more and better? Or is it the same thing? Has nothing changed?
It's expanding. It's expanding from adding more grade levels. We have the ability, for example, what I was mentioning before about taking the test in a much shorter fashion and getting results back in a much shorter fashion, and expanding that to other grade levels. So that's part of that. It's partly bringing in some iPads into those kindergarten grades, those lower grades. that kind of thing. As far as assessing, again, I defer to Laura. But I think everything's going to pretty much tell us that we're going to want to move in that direction. I mean, I see nothing that would say anything different.
No, but I would even expand it more because, when you walk down, I'm sure you have done this, both of you, walk down rooms throughout all of our 3 schools. Can you count on your hand how many people are using the smart board?
That require, for people to be using the smart board smartly, that requires more training. And that requires a reason to use it as a smart board and not just a projector. And my recommendation at this point is to any projectors that we replace, I would replace with a smart projector. It has a whole lot of other features besides being a projector, and it's a whole lot less money than a smart board. And if the schools, or if Laura and I, or and other teacher input like Donna or whatever, determine that using a smart board, for example, I don't know, does it get used for Go Math? Does it? Okay. So if teachers are going to be trained in using it, I'd be all for getting it. If teachers aren't going to use it, there's no sense in buying it.
Correct.
Or anything else.
Right, but perhaps they're not using it because they have to use it with a Chromebook, or they have to use it with another instrument instead of using it on an iPad where they can move around, particularly in the lower grades. They could be using it more if they had a different type of technology to use it with.
It comes down to semantics somewhat, though, in that, if you're going to have a $4,000 device that you need a $1,000 device to work with to accomplish a goal, or you can accomplish the same goal for $2,000 if you know how to do it.
My device wasn't $2,000, it was only $250.
The what?
The iPad.
Where do you get iPads for $250?
Online.
We can't buy online. I mean, we can't.
Yes, I understand. But how much do iPads cost now?
Full size?
No.
We'll close them.
The little ones.
Yes.
$350, $400 probably?
Yeah.
Gene, you looking it up?
No,
300.
he's fixing my phone.
300? Okay. And I get complaints from teachers with the size of the screen on a Chromebook. Might I anticipate complaints from teachers on a mini? I have an iPad mini. I love it. Works for me.
What? How much is your iPad?
Well,
But Jackie, also, you're talking about changing an entire
69 at
system.
Best
We can
Buy.
only.
No, I'm
bring
not
peop-
talking about changing the entire system.
No.
I think if you ask people why they're not using it, and they say, oh, it's because this is there and I have to do it this, but if you offered some, not all, how many people would take you up on that rather than use that?
Those kinds of questions get asked, actually. There are opportunities where, would you be interested in doing this workshop and learning how to do this? And if you do that, you'll get, actually, an iPad is a perfect example.
That's
something
perfect.
that we ran. So how do we make people buy into that, though? Especially if we're going to be responsible for training them how to use it, which is fine.
Cut it off.
Who's going to follow up on making sure that they're using it? Is that still where, I guess what I'm getting at, bottom line is, this isn't a simple solution. This isn't, and I'm sorry, I'm going to break your heart, Ken. Yesterday Bernie got beat up because he said, we got to break up the banks. I'm sorry, I'm talking politics. We got to break up the banks, and the Daily News said, how are you going to do that? And the fact that you can't answer that in a soundbite got him in the hot water, so to speak. People are saying he doesn't know what he's doing, but he does know what he's doing. Well, I won't go there.
Okay.
Yes.
No, I'm just going to say,
It's the same kind of a
we're
question.
pressed for time, it's 9, we
Yeah,
usually
I'm-
end. But thank you very much. If anybody has any questions on his really a good reporter, you can just email Mr. Barnes, and I'm sure he'll get back to you.
And if you'd like to be on my list to get tech tips or my curated online publication, send me an email and let me know so I can put you on the list.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to move this right along, please. Task list from last meeting, is
Yep.
there anything?
Only a couple items. We're still continuing the discussion on the availability of after-school buses.
Or Ben L.
Yeah. And then we had the technology report that we just had, and discussion with Director of Curriculum on math and reading, which is happening next
Next month.
month. Yes.
Any word on their busing at all?
We have a meeting with the bus contractor tomorrow morning.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next, finance, treasurer's report, we all received that in the mail.
I move that we approve it.
Do we have a second? All in favor? Okay, unanimous. Now we have
I did look at it,
two
too.
things, one a phone bid and one a grant.
Phone bid is tabled, remember that Frank talked about that. and
Okay, we'll
said-
table that,
Yeah.
okay, that's good. Accept the grant, information.
We have no information on this grant.
Yeah, what is this?
$500.
Yeah, but, oh, I didn't know it was from Hannaford. I read,
Need action?
Yeah,
Back
to
it,
accept the
Brian.
grant, yeah.
I'll make a motion, we accept the grant.
who's it for?
Oh, it'd be Steve,
BSD schools.
$500 from Hannaford.
From Hannaford. Son,
Okay. Have a
Send out with the
second to
agenda.
accept it? All right. Renee, do you know what this, any strings tied to this at all, or anything's gotta be used for certain things at all? You don't know? Okay.
The grant is for what I read in the paper put out, it's for Sue Page's project here.
The outside
Yeah,
class.
the outside classroom,
Oh, okay, all right, that's the,
yeah.
okay, I remember that, yes.
Yeah, it's in,
So can we amend that?
yeah, it's in your
Can we,
packet, what it was for.
can we amend the, accept, the,
The
Motion.
motion.
we accept the grant for Sue's outside classroom?
Okay.
so moved.
Okay, all in favor?
Yeah.
Okay, unanimous. Okay, number 6, we go over. 7, consent agenda. A motion to accept the consent
So
agenda.
moved.
Second, anybody?
Second.
Okay, any questions, discussions on the consent agenda? Seeing none, all in favor of the consent agenda? Raise your hand. Unanimous? Okay, education matters. Ms. McKenzie's going to give a report, and we had 2 enclosed from the other 2 principals.
Thank you. I'd like to introduce Donna Stone, 4th grade teacher, and she is incredibly wonderful about getting good information in the banner, getting the banner here, getting some excellent public recognition, and because she's been instrumental in our PTG meetings, coordinating a lot of these activities, I just asked her to share some things that we've done recently.
Thank you, Mrs. McKenzie. Our first assembly was called the NED Assembly, and NED stands for N, Never Give Up, E, Encourage Others, and D, Do Your Best. Excellent message to our students. The performer did yo-yo tricks as she got the NED message across to us. This is what we called a pay it forward assembly. So we sold yo-yos here at school for about 5 days, and the money raised from selling yo-yos was then sent to the NED show, and that's the pay it forward. So now another school can also receive the assembly from the money that was raised here at Molly Stark. The show also went over to Ben L and was very successful over there. Our second show was the Sakumu dance troupe from Ghana, West Africa. And they came to our school and danced and shared their culture-related stories. It was a blast. We danced, we chanted, we laughed, and we left the assembly just filled with peace, love, and happiness in our hearts. That was really important to our students. Molly Stark thanks our PTG for sponsoring this event. We also want to take this opportunity to thank Dr. Kelly for her donation to help us pay for this assembly, and also for her efforts in having the Sakamu Dance Troupe come to Molly Stark School and perform for us. So thank you very much. Our next entertainer was the Vermont Symphony Orchestra's a cappella, and this group entertained us with their love of music and singing. I think it's really important to report out that our students really, really showed their appreciation as the a cappella group performed for us. And in turn, I just want everybody to know that the a cappella group gave us positive compliments for our students here at Molly Stark School. They thoroughly enjoyed and appreciated our students as their audience. Our next assembly will be on April 13th, so please come and join us. It's 1:45, 1:30 in the afternoon. It's the Tommy Lee James Show, and this is a magic show. It's going to promote reading and love of books. We want to thank the Southwest Vermont Education Association, along with the Molly Stark PTG, for sponsoring this show, so we look forward to that. Then on another note, talking about SBAC testing, it has begun here at Molly Stark for grades 3 through 5. With the help of our administrators and our teacher team, we have put together many, many positive supports to encourage our students while testing. We had the kids make posters. We have healthy snacks. Every day we start with positives. We've invited central office staff to come and support our kids and give them high fives and encourage them to do their best. And we have had visitors. We encourage our students with a couple of sayings, and one of them is, try your best, show what you know. And on that note, I'll tell you that our students make this message sound like a rap.
Mm-hmm.
I'll pass on that part tonight.
I've heard it.
But they're doing a great job. So thank you for your support, and thank you for showing up at some of our activities here at school. There's tons of stuff going on at Molly Stark, and we chose just a few to share with you tonight, so thank you.
Thank you, Mrs.
Can I say
very
something?
much.
Donna, I'd like to thank you for emailing us and letting us know what's going on.
Yes, so thank you, and you have...
And getting in the newspaper too, because I read about the
Yes,
yo-yo and the
yes,
dancing
we
and
should
stuff.
thank Derek Carson for that. He has been showing up and regularly getting us on the front page news, so we appreciate the banner support also.
Okay.
Thank you. Just one more item that I'd like to just acknowledge all of our staff for working so hard every day. But SBACs, as always, they're new, they're a little bit challenging. I'd like to recognize Megan Olson, who's our interventionist, one of our interventionists at Molly, and Mike Nolan, the third grade teacher. They have been incredible in helping teachers understand the accommodations, different things that teachers are confused with. They have really gone above and beyond from the beginning of the year. They took the lead on this as they did last year. It's made a huge difference for Molly. And at central office, Laura Boudreau, Melissa Senecal, and Paul DeBarco have been wonderful to help us understand the accommodations, which are fairly complicated. So just wanted to make that public recognition, and to all my staff as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? No? Okay, next we have two policies, 1020 visiting schools and 5145 condom availability. Okay, we'll look at number 1020 first, visits to schools. I wasn't able to print mine out, but
That one there,
you have a copy of the,
you got it, Jim.
I've seen it.
Somebody's getting it for you.
Well, I'm going to so move it. Then we can have discussion.
okay, a motion and a second to warn.
Second.
All right,
I'm voting against it.
okay.
I'm not even going to vote to warn it.
It really doesn't affect us.
Okay, any discussion? The only thing that was brought up, because Leon Johnson is the head of the policy committee, they meet on the first Mondays, and Jackie's a member of that committee, and the thing we brought up is we asked them under number 3, visit by community members and school board members. It says you may obtain permission, and I don't think that should be there. I think when I used to visit the school doing Four Winds and all the other stuff, I used to just let the principal know a day ahead of time that I was coming, and if it was a day like they're gonna have the dancing or the yo-yos, and he'd say, well, maybe that's not a good day to come, maybe the next day would be better. And we just were flexible enough to come in when we were really needed and wanted. So I don't think, it makes you feel, like you're more of an intruder than anything else if you have to ask for permission. I think just saying, I'm gonna be coming, is it okay for this day? And, you know, I just don't like them to say.
I think
you
that's
know,
the intent of the policy too, to make sure that the educational leader of the school knows that you're
Yeah.
coming.
Yeah, because if it's map testing or something like that, we don't want to be intruding either. But, you know, that's it, so I'm going to vote against it as well.
We only need, I can see community members, but I would call a school before I went there too, because I would want to state why I was there, why I was coming to that school. I don't think we need a policy on what we can do.
Because whenever I've stopped in a school, my first stop has always been the principal's office. And is this a good time? Yes, no. And a lot of times if I want to take a wander around, I usually go, come on, you want some exercise? And the principal's free, we walk around together. And I think it's it's a slap in the school board members' faces to put something like that into a policy.
Can I ask this question? Is everyone vetted here in terms of, because you make this point all the time, has everybody been fingerprinted to come?
Background check.
Yeah.
Check.
But it's not required if you're a school board member.
I thought it was.
No,
No. So in
I
a
know I
sense,
am.
it's,
I know I have been.
but in a sense, it's a protection too.
To be honest with you, I think all school board members should be.
Right, but it doesn't happen right now, so.
So, I'm hearing that everybody already does this. That's on that's on this policy. We're saying that so.
Right. I think the issue is,
It says
the
right out
problem
there.
with the word is permission. And that was one of the things that was brought up on the SVSU. And it's also not, the fact that and school board members isn't because of the BSD.
Well,
Which,
okay.
so I think
it could go back to the policy committee for revision. I
Yeah.
think there could be a separate line that just addresses school boards and their board members, and they're not lumped in with the same as the public, that just asks that you do exactly what everybody is saying they're doing. You go to the office, you sign in and inform the principal that you're in the building.
Yeah.
I
They
think
have
that-
to give you a visitor pass anyways.
I think that's sufficient.
As a matter of fact, at the SVSU meeting, our new selectman, Jeannie Jenkins, got up and said that that's something she expects her school board members to do, is to visit the schools. She says that, I don't think you're doing your job unless you go in there and visit the schools and see what's going on firsthand.
Right, but, the safeguards should be there, as you always say, and maybe we should make a policy that says that too.
Right.
Oh, you're right, I think.
I
that's
don't
right.
think there's anything wrong
I
with
think this is
having,
going to be
do a
definitely
criminal record
revised,
check
because
on
every
this.
Yes.
board, I'm hearing the same
It's something
concerns.
different,
I think school board members should be welcome into the school, just follow the
Yeah, right,
protocol.
yes.
She went off
So
at the
if we
SVSU
vote
board
to
meeting.
warn this,
Well, since
still
I heard her.
advise,
No, we're not gonna vote
no,
to
we're not
warn it.
going to. Okay. Thanks.
Jackie's gonna go back and give us.
I
our
pull my
comments.
motion.
Do you need any more, Jackie? Any
No, we just
direction?
have to make a motion.
To warn
I'll
it.
make a motion to say that we'd like to pass on this and bring it back to the policy committee.
All
So
right.
moved.
All right. Second? No, we don't need a vote. You're just going to take it back with the comments, okay? Now, the second one, 5145, condoms availability. Leon explained that this one was just for 9, 10, 11, and 12th graders. Mr. Payne has not decided about this one in the middle school yet for 6, 7, and 8. But I did ask if he decides to, hand them out to 6, 7, 8th graders, he wouldn't have to come back to the,
Us.
to the SVSU board, to get the permission. He's already, if the policy's in place, the permission's in place either, so.
Because we left it, that one we left up to the individual school district.
Yes. Okay, can we have a motion then to warn this one?
So moved.
Second.
Second. Comments at all for Jackie to bring back at all? No? Okay, all in favor? Morning, all right.
It
Superintendent's
wasn't
report.
unanimous.
You're not, you're,
I'm against it.
all right.
Ready?
Yep.
At last month's meeting, it was brought to our attention that using taxis to transport students violated a regulation by the Department of Public Safety. So I gave a directive for that to end, but I will report to you that there are still some students being transported by taxi because we do not have worked out an alternative with the bus company yet. And the dilemma for us is, we're out of compliance if we don't transport them and they don't come to school, and we're out of compliance if we transport them by cab. We have begun discussions with the taxi company if they want to upgrade their vehicles to come into compliance. As I said, we're meeting with the bus company tomorrow to give them the list of students that they need to transport, because we no longer can do it by bus. And it's a little vague because we're talking so few students. I do not want to identify anybody by why they're being transported. So hopefully we'll have that completely settled soon. The other thing I told you last month is that I would have recommendations on the summer planning at your April 6th meeting. We're here today. I don't know where we're going to be with the summer construction project based on, the letter we received today, but we are still moving forward with our planning so that we can be prepared. If the project moves forward, the extended year students will be in programs at On Point and at Division Street, depending on by grade levels. Wendy is finalizing that. School year will end for kindergarten students on June 7th, and this is what I'd be asking for the board to approve. And then on June 8th and 9th, Kinder Camp will be in its place. So this year, which is for incoming kindergarten students. The school year would end for grades 1 through 5 on June 9th, which is a Thursday. And then June 10th and 13th, which is a Friday and Monday, will be staff days to prepare for the construction project, with June 13th being the last day of school for all students. We're still not finalized plans where summer school would be housed. Many of the alternative locations that we have investigated, either for insurance reasons or other, have declined their facility to us to run their summer programs in. So we have a couple of positives, but that is the only one that we do not have worked out to date. We have Kinder Camp worked out, we have extended year worked out, we have the schedule worked out, but we do not know where we're going to be able to place summer school, which would impact between the three schools somewhere around 90 to 100 students per day.
And we all knew this when we went into this, that we might have to cancel the summer program, except for the ones that were mandated.
The ones that are mandated.
Is 2 days for Kinder Camp enough?
June 8th and 9th.
Yeah, it's not, it was 4 last year, so it's half, but it's still.
It's a one-year thing,
Yeah,
Ken.
right. So we
No, I
think
was wondering, maybe they, when school opens, they could come a day earlier, so maybe, I don't know, I'm just saying, if 2 days doesn't accomplish what you're looking for.
if we have the contractor asking us to delay the start of school by 5 days, we didn't think that we could bring them in earlier.
Okay. Thank you. Is that
So,
it?
yeah, so
Okay.
what I need from the board is, where, should I be notifying parents that that schedule change is going to happen?
Yeah, drop dead date.
Yeah, and, I mean, you heard public comments this evening. I mean, we got to tell them as soon as possible that, particularly kindergarten parents, that your child, they're going to end much earlier than they're going to end 4 days earlier than what parents think they were going to end. And
We're going to meet you're going to meet next week.
Yeah.
The board's going to meet next week.
So by next week.
And there should be,
suggest we hold.
they're going to have to
Okay.
make a decision.
All right.
By Friday? Or by Tuesday, or,
Tuesday, you should be
Tuesday.
making your
We
decision.
know.
okay, so we'll know by
We hold
Tuesday.
until Tuesday.
All right.
Thank you.
And the two alternatives are cancel or go ahead, right?
Yes.
Yep.
For summer school right now, unfortunately, I mean, we do have some alternatives, but there's some high rental costs that we just really don't have the budget to do. And that's all I have for you tonight.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Since we have the loss of the chief financial officer, who is taking hold of the finance management in that office?
So Mary Buick is the acting business manager. I meet weekly with with all the members of the finance office so that we keep updated on that. Job description has been prepared so that we can advertise and send that to the SU board for permission to advertise, and that's the process we're using right now. So Mary Buick is the acting business manager, and all members of the finance department have stepped up and cooperated.
Committee, anything on the food service? You got the bids back and everything?
Yeah, I'll say we're moving forward. I really can't give much more information than that. Right now, I'm sworn to secrecy. It's pretty much coming down to an end.
Thank you.
All right.
SBSU meeting reorganization, Mr. Brownell was elected chair of the SBSU, representing Powell. I think Fran Kinney was the vice chair, and a lot of the discussion was on the two policies we just voted on, visits to schools with that word permission, and condom availability. So that's one of the big things that were going on with the item. Okay, under chairs report.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair, I forgot one thing, very important thing, my third. We have concluded the search for BSD principals for Molly Stark. As I mentioned to you in executive session today, so at your next board meeting, I'll be bringing to the board for consideration Dr. Michael Muggett's, bringing him forward as the best possible candidate for the Molly Stark principal position. So I will, that'll be in the packet for your consideration at your next meeting.
Thank you. Another chairs report. Two things, well, actually three. Tomorrow night, 6:30 in the Bennington school, North Bennington, we have our fifth and final Act 46 for local. April 25th, a Monday evening in Brattleboro, they're going to have a Act 46 meeting with the people from the Vermont School Board Association, and they're a place where you can come and bring and ask questions about Act 46, what you can do, what you can't do, and so forth.
Where's that going to be?
April 25th, a Monday in Brattleboro. I don't know the exact place
Yeah,
yet.
we're going to be sending out the information to that.
Okay.
We did
And-
reserve a spot for the SU Act 46 study committee for those who want to attend.
And she said, bring questions.
Did you?
And Nikki South, the VSBA special individual that runs Act 46, I spoke to her this week, and she said that she'll get us a person that will work with us, because I mentioned that you folks who were on the search committee for the principal used the go-to meeting, and you were very satisfied with the results. So this individual would be on go-to-meeting, she would be wherever she comes in Montpelier. We could be at central office, and she could be or he could be the individual to help us facilitate our Act 46 meeting. So I think that's a good move.
Did you see that Nikki South has resigned?
No.
Yeah.
I just talked to her.
Yeah, she's moving on, so I don't know when her last day is.
Oh, well.
They're advertised for.
I'm getting a headache.
They've advertised for a position if anybody's interested in being the
I'll call her tomorrow.
statewide coordinator, so yeah.
Okay, that's
I mean, every time you think
So
you got a
get to her
consultant, we got,
fast.
Okay, anything else to come before the board?
Make a motion, we.
Can I have one more thing? I forgot to include this in my report. Next Thursday, our music teacher, Jamie Hart, is having a spring concert at the bandstand. They're already practicing, and that's at 1:30 and 6 o'clock, April 14th. Anybody is welcome. Just wanted to get that last piece in.
I'm
Thank
going to
you.
be away.
Thank you.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
So moved. Oh, second.
All in favor?
That's not good.
Unanimous.